The person who makes something today isn't the same person who returns to the work tomorrow. Welcome back for another live reading and reflection of Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act. This is Area of Thought 12. Thank you so much for sticking around and giving me your time. I appreciate your tuning in to my commentary on creative matters, as well as this live reading and reflection that I'm doing literally like for the first time. I haven't read this book and I'm reading each area of thought with you. Look inward. The sound of water churning in the distance is audible. I feel a breeze of what might be warm air, although it's difficult to tell since my arm hair senses the movement as cooling. 2 birds are singing, and with my eyes closed, I'm placing them approximately 50 paces behind me and to my right. Now a smaller bird, or at least one with a smaller and higher pitched chirp, enters the soundscape behind me to the left. From the rhythmic interplay, it seems clear the birds are not in conversation. Each sings its own song. I notice the sound of a passing vehicle, and in the distance, children's voices. A blur of rhythmic music arrives from the far left. There is an itch on the left side of my face, just in front of my ear. A vehicle with a larger, heavier sound passes, and a bit of jazz music makes an appearance much closer to my position. Only now do I realize I turned it on earlier at a quiet volume, and it had been inaudible until this moment. Someone arrives. I open my eyes, and it all goes away. It's common to believe that life is a series of external experiences, and that we must live an outwardly extraordinary life in order to have something to share. The experience of our inner world is often completely overlooked. If we focus on what's going on inside ourselves, sensations, emotions, the patterns of our thoughts, a wealth of material can be found. Our inner world is every bit as interesting, beautiful, and surprising as nature itself. It is, after all, born of nature. When we go inside, we are processing what's going on outside. We are no longer separate. We are connected. We are one. Ultimately, it doesn't make a difference whether your content originates on the inside or the outside. If a beautiful thought or phrase comes to mind, or if you see a beautiful sunset, one's not better than the other. Both are equally beautiful in different ways. It's helpful to consider there are always more options available to us than we might realize. I wonder if you feel just as still as I feel reading that. And that's, I think, the whole purpose of this book. There are so many passages within each area of thought that I feel are summoning us to become more still. I haven't done a reading in, feels like a couple of weeks, and I think I've really missed it because it's been an invitation for me to find stillness in what feels like I would say a treadmill of content creation that's always on a very high level and high intensity. And so finding time to be still is proving quite challenging. And that's why I think it's so clever and healing. And the good intentions of this are sort of really being felt because just reading that has slowed me down. And I hope it did that for you. Because the challenge we're facing right now is one that is so all-consuming. And No matter how much we exercise self-care, mental health management, no matter how much we get lost in our pursuits, creative pursuits, our outlets, no matter how much we find pleasure and joy, the backdrop to all of that doesn't feel like one that's kind or that's nourishing or nurturing or even safe. And that's why I think it's even more pressing for us to take this time out for ourselves, but to make more sincere and significant connections online and offline. And to not demonize technology and to not demonize our reliability or our dependence rather on technology. I heard something recently about this is all just a symptom. The dependence on social media, YouTube content. It's a symptom. We can all become overly consumptive. Is that a word? We can overly consume anything. And because we are in this state, it feels like perhaps we should use these tools to find more of the remedies that I think can help us and each other during this era that we're in, this phase of the world with this backdrop of uncertainty and feels like lack of safety, where there is a lot of pain perpetuated and recycled, that we don't often get the opportunity to become still and to look within and perhaps connect with each other from that wavelength. Getting on that wavelength is so important for us, but it's also really, really important for us to be connecting with others whilst on that wavelength rather than in any kind of transactive, again, is that a word? A transaction mode of being. So I hope this helped you as much as it had helped me. I feel quite transformed every time I read a passage. It's quite moving. The writing is done so beautifully, and this isn't just content. It feels poetic and spiritual and also quite practical. So I would love to hear from you and your thoughts, and you'll see me in the next video.